Sea trial success as Montana hits the Atlantic for the very first time. I'm Aaron Pritchett, and this is Focus NNS. We're here along just one of the many dry docks and piers that make up the Newport News Shipbuilding waterfront that serve as the home to many of the submarines and aircraft carriers as they progress through the construction process. And most notably, Montana SSN 794, the latest Virginia-class submarine to be put to the ultimate test as she hits the high seas for the very first time, will take you along for the spectacular ride. Plus, it's a high-performing computer system that crunches some pretty complex numbers for engineers, but it's one with a very honorable name. We'll tell you more about Raye. The Foundry is going beyond the frame as the Mariners Museum pays Newport News Shipbuilding a visit to connect the past to the present as they highlight the work of legendary artist Thomas Skinner. Those stories and more coming up, but first on deck, riding the waves of success as years of hard work and dedication have helped to bring the newest Virginia-class submarine to life. From early construction to pressure hull complete to rollout, flood, and launch, Montana SSN 794 was recently put to the ultimate test as it launched into the Atlantic for the very first time for sea trials, and one made possible by the immense dedication of our shipbuilders, who take great pride in doing their part in helping to defend freedom.
It's an amazing journey, and nobody else in the world does what we do. Nobody else in the world. And to be a part of something like that is, I can't even put that into words to just express. It's an experience though, and it's a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything else that I've ever had to do in my life.
It's definitely not an easy task, but it's probably one of the most rewarding tasks. It's kind of, amazing to see, your work actually go out into the fleet and actually do what it's supposed to do and kind of leave your hands. It's kind of a bittersweet moment, but it's an honor to do a job, a normal everyday job that actually plays a big part in protecting the country.
It's an impressive feat from start to finish. Seeing it come together like a puzzle, or I look at it like a Lego set. It's an amazing feeling to see it go to sea finally. The team effort here is fantastic. From the painters to the fitters, the welders, the testers, the riggers. I mean, everybody comes together, and down here on the pier, getting this boat to sea trial status is what we all strive to do, is get this thing out so the Navy can do what it's got to do and protect our country.
I never thought that I would be here working, building ships, but it's an honor and it's an exciting feeling because I've touched this boat, I've worked on this boat, I've put my all into this boat, and I just come in here every day, be confident and think about the people that are going to be living on this boat and, fighting for our country.
Being a second-generation shipbuilder, I live for the challenges that we face every day because those challenges is what make us who we are. A wise scholar always said that the journey of 1,000 miles began with one step. And I can't even count how many steps that it takes for us as shipbuilders to build one of the greatest war-fighting machines in the world and be able to deliver to our Navy. It's amazing.
An incredible sight to see as Montana SSN 794 continues on her path towards delivery to the U.S. Navy. And a great job to all involved in helping to bring this boat to life. And also to the thousands of shipbuilders across the shipyard who come together each and every day dedicated to building the most complex submarines and aircraft carriers in the world for the defense of our great nation. Now let's take a look at some other news from around the yard. Another year and another opportunity to celebrate, as January 28, 2022 marked the 136th anniversary of Newport News Shipbuilding. Founded as Chesapeake Dry Dock and Construction Company by railroad tycoon Collis B. Huntington, the shipyard's name was changed in 1890, not long after its founding. Newport News Shipbuilding became a major player in both commercial and naval shipbuilding and helped spur the early growth of the city of Newport News. From tugboat Dorothy, delivered in 1891, the shipyard's first vessel, to its first naval contracts in 1894 for gunboats Nashville PG-7, Wilmington PG-8, and Helena PG-9, to the first aircraft carrier, the USS Ranger CV-4 in 1934, not to mention the first nuclear-powered submarine, the USS Robert E. Lee SSBN 601 in 1960, and continuing on with the legendary and first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise CVN-65, to the present-day lineup of the Ford-class aircraft carrier class of USS Gerald R. Ford CVN-78, John F. Kennedy CVN-79, the new Enterprise CVN-80, and Doris Miller CVN-81. So many years, so many ships, so much history, and so much to be proud of. From one historical moment to another, 113 years old and time for one last flood. Dry Dock 3, located in the Mid-Yard, has been an integral part of Newport News Shipbuilding since it came into service back in 1908. And although it's been updated and repurposed for specific types of work through the years up until 1996, the time has come for the dry dock to retire. Senior Dockmaster John Anderson, executive staff, and other members of the facilities team were on hand to ceremonially throw individual buckets of water into the dry dock for one last time. From there, the pumps were turned on to completely flood the dock to prepare for several stages in the coming years to close it down, as Newport News Shipbuilding is in the process of reclaiming this particular piece of infrastructure for future growth as our shipbuilding efforts continue to evolve. A new tool and a new way of doing some heavy lifting for the Virginia-class submarine program. In an effort to work beneath particular units and prep them for transport throughout the yard, transfer cars are traditionally used for placing heavy oak blocks in between each stroke per jack. But the new 100-ton Interpack Cube jacking system recently has been implemented and is changing the game. As seen here, this impressive short strongback system is lifting up the habitability unit of the Virginia-class submarine Utah SSN 801. The blocking crews feed the jacking system trays on all major corners, and the unit is designed to maintain the height within itself and basically does all the heavy lifting efficiently and, most importantly, safely. Although this new system is being utilized in the Virginia-class submarine program, the hopes are to bring it throughout the yard in the coming months. From one lift below a component of a Virginia-class submarine to a lift from above on the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS John C. Stennis CVN-74 that is currently in dry dock undergoing its RCOH, or refueling and complex overhaul. The new 315 metric ton Goliath gantry crane, also known as 48K, recently flexed its muscle. This process is also in an effort to eventually replace and modernize not only this particular part of the ship to accommodate a much bigger main mast on flight deck, but all major portions below deck and then some. Really, no part is left unturned. Although still in the early stages of our RCOH, shipbuilders are working around the clock as they progress towards the goal of helping USS John C. Stennis CVN-74 continue to be a vital component of the U.S. Navy fleet for the next 25 years. Newport News Shipbuilding's Engineering and Design Division is paying tribute to the naval shipbuilding trailblazer Raye Montague in a unique way. The division's new unclassified high-performance computer, or UHPC, has been named Raye in honor of Montague, who was the first person to design a naval ship using a computer. The UHPC is a shipyard-wide computational resource that supports large engineering analyses. It is standard practice to name high-performance computer systems after stars such as Polaris, inspiring people, and sometimes with simple acronyms. Raye Montague faced enormous challenges as a black woman throughout her life, but in 1971 she was tasked with designing a Navy ship using a computer, a request that came from President Richard Nixon. The process of designing a first-in-class ship by hand took about 2 years on average. Montague used a computer to produce the first draft for the Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigate in 18 hours and 26 minutes. Following this feat, she received accolades and even death threats, according to her son. Montague went on to help design several other first-in-class ships and became the Navy's first female program manager of a ship. It may be cold outside, but things are heating up at the Newport News Shipbuilding's Foundry, as crews recently poured 4 carbon steel castings for the future Virginia-class submarines Tang, SSN 805, Wahoo, SSN 806, Silverside's SSN 807, and the yet-to-be-named SSN 808. Each of the molds were filled with 288 pounds of metal, and work will continue as these boats start the process in their journey to become some of the most complex fast attack submarines of the future. The Foundry pour for these future submarines that you just saw actually got a pretty interesting spotlight recently, and Crystal Langston, the newest member of our communications team, joins us now in the Foundry to tell you more about One Local Museum's efforts to connect the past with the present.
Thanks, Aaron, and you're exactly right. Those steel castings were poured with liquid metal at a temperature of nearly 3,000 degrees. And to join us for the pour, we had a couple guests from the Mariners Museum who are here to explain how the everyday lives years ago of the men and the women working here in the Foundry were captured by an artist who had a studio right here at Newport News Shipbuilding.
It was honestly kind of magical. I mean, we talk a lot about how we are connected to each other through the world's waters, and there's no better magnitude to display that than here at the shipyard, seeing these shipbuilders at work. We have a new video series at the Mariners called Beyond the Frame. And Beyond the Frame is all about taking people kind of behind the scenes into our massive art collection that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, we're mostly known as a history museum, but we have this world-class, incredible art collection, and in that is hundreds and hundreds of paintings that we have. And one of our most famous artists is Thomas Skinner, who is actually a hired artist, painter for the Mariners Museum, but we hired him to actually have his studio here near the Foundry and at Newport News Shipbuilding, and he painted real-life portraits and everyday life of the men and women working here and showing what they did day to day to build these ships to change our nation. So he painted these larger-than-life paintings where the men in the paintings are almost full-scale, like real life. So the scale is just amazing. The Mariners Museum roots run really deep here, and they actually all began here at the shipyard. Many, many years ago in the 30s, the men that worked here are also the men that built our walls at the museum. So to go through our collection and the objects and the paintings, especially that we have at the Mariners Museum, we're seeing history being built and being made. All of that history was being laid here. The foundation started here. So seeing the pouring here, being here in the Foundry, is kind of like things just coming full circle, connecting people to the world's waters. That's how we're connected to one another through our shared maritime heritage. And the men and the women that work here laid that foundation, and they're doing that day in and day out. And that's how we're connected to one another. The power of people is everything. And seeing the team here work together the way they did today, they're a cohesive unit, their bond is strong, it's like they're a family, you know, and that's how our institutions kind of began, was through family and through the roots here and the community that is Newport News.
You can catch a new episode of Beyond the Frame every first Friday of the month on all of the Mariners Museum's social media channels. For Focus NNS, I'm Crystal Langston. Back to you, Aaron.
Crystal, great job. Welcome to the team, and make sure you check out the great work the Mariners Museum did featuring the work of Thomas Skinner and the shipbuilders of Newport News Shipbuilding. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Focus NNS. Remember, check out our weekly publication Currents for the latest shipyard news and download our free app, NNS To Go. It's available in the Google and Apple stores on your smartphones and tablets. Keep up to date with all of our latest videos and spectacular photos on all of our social media channels. And don't forget to watch Focus NNS on city TV and cable channels across the great state of Virginia. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Aaron Pritchett.